Next up, Andrew Tate. Do a little segue there. Andrew Tate got some charges filed against him in England. Andrew and his brother Tristan. Now, there's still some of the charges in Romania. They still got to get tried on those. But they've been charged with over 20 offenses against 4 women, allegedly, including sexual assault, human trafficking, abuse, all kinds of stuff for the Tate brothers. And here, let me preface this, because every time we bring these guys up, and we normally have a no Andrew Tate rule unless it's a story we can't avoid, because I just think the topic is redundant and he exhausts me to even bring up. Every time we bring up Andrew Tate, we naturally get a little bit of hate in the comments, and that's fine. That's fine. Here's what I'll say. I'm not going to argue with you guys. I'm not going to come back at you and do that. You're going to yell into the void. I'm not going to address you, because there are 2 types of Andrew Tate fanboys. And I'm specifically talking fanboys, people that enjoy him as a person, not necessarily just the things he says, some of the things he says. There's 2 types. There are lost young men, many of whom probably grew up without a father figure. They're in their early 20s. They don't have a lot of life experience. Their worldviews have not been fully formed yet. Their brain is not functioning 100%. There's a lot going on with those guys. And unfortunately, they have been targeted by someone who is very convincing and does a very, very good job at pointing out a lot of the problems in this society, specifically within the dating game. But they're young. We had a feud that got a little too public with a certain comedian that I won't talk about on this show. And I told Mia and Jacob, we're going to stop making fun of this person on the air, because I found out that she was 22 years old. And I said, you know what? Let her say what she wants. I'm not going to get into a pissing match with a kid, because that's a child. I have to think back to what I was like when I was 22 and think if I were 30 years old arguing with myself, I would feel like a fucking idiot, because I was arguing with a fucking idiot. So we're not going to go after children whose brains have not been fully formed and have been taken advantage of, albeit unfortunately, by somebody. It's through no fault of their own. And then the other type of subcategory for Andrew Tate's fanboys are people that are my age and older. And if you're my age and older, and you're falling for that guy's con, that's just sad. And you're doing so poorly at life that it would feel like going to the Humane Society, picking out the most pathetic elderly dog there was, and then drop kicking it off a bridge if I tried to roast you on the air. So I'm just not going to do it. Because, I mean, think about people my age. If you've got anything going, not even successful, anything going in life, you're not going to fall into that guy's trap. And here's what you guys got to realize. Andrew Tate, the way he talks about the men that he scammed when he was running his webcam business, about how stupid these men were for giving him money. He hasn't learned. He doesn't see anything wrong with what he did when he was running that business. He's moved on to his next grift. Why do you guys that are sending him money and supporting, I'll do it in a second. You'll see what it is. Why are you guys that are sending him money and supporting him? Why do you believe that he sees you any differently than the men he was ripping off when he was running his OnlyFans scams? He doesn't like you. He mocks you behind your back, sometimes to your face on camera. And you continue to fall for this scam. It's so stupid. But here's the thing. This guy, Andrew Tate, and a lot of the red pill community, here's the mouse back, a lot of the red pill community as a whole, like I said, are very, very good at pointing out problems. Sometimes they're even very, very good at offering solutions to those problems. But as I've said before, the most dangerous lie is one that's coated in truth. while he may point out that men are getting a bad rap, and like we talked about in the last segment, the demonization of masculinity, it's absolutely 100% true when he says things like that. The answer does not come in cheating on your wife or having kids with multiple women on purpose or anything like that. I had a conversation with somebody. This is someone I know, and this disturbed me because I've seen how this logic is taking over really normal people. And I don't know if he's into Tate or into somebody, but I could tell he'd been listening to somebody based on the conversation we had. This is a guy with kids in a committed relationship told me out of the blue that he doesn't think it's in a man's nature to be with one woman. And the problem with that is, as I said, the most dangerous lie is one that's coated in truth. He's half right. It's not in a man's nature to be with one woman, but it is required if you want to be a real man to be able to possess the discipline and control and commitment to be with one woman. That's the difference there. That's the part that Andrew Tate and these red pill retards leave out. What are you worth if you just go sleep around with every woman under the sun and have a bunch of bastard kids walking around? Not all that much to very many people. You're a paycheck to them. Do you want to be worth more than a paycheck to somebody? Then you have to have the commitment and discipline required to maintain a healthy relationship with, yes, just one woman. And however many kids you want from that woman. As long as you can afford them and you don't want the state to fucking pay for it. So that's my problem with these guys. The red pill movement is radical feminism for men. It's having the same effect that radical feminism did when it told all these women that they were independent women who didn't need no man and to get into the workforce and blah, 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 blah. In the sense that it is destroying the nuclear family. That is the goal. This is a psyop. And I'm seeing a lot of so-called conservative influencers fall for this Andrew Tate red pill psyop that is so clearly there to destroy the American family. This guy Tate popped up out of nowhere, and became one of the most famous people on the planet. You don't see anything wrong with that? You guys that think the CIA and the FBI are lurking around every corner behind every conspiracy, you don't have any questions about, maybe Andrew Tate, I don't know, is there someone pulling the strings? And then he admits on camera that his fucking dad is a CIA agent, or was. So he's already got the connections there. You don't consider that maybe a little questionable? Andrew Tate and his whole movement, whether they know it or not, whether they're in on it or they're useful idiots who are being used as a vehicle to get us there, are there to destroy the nuclear family. They are a psyop. And so many stupid people that vote the way I do and probably agree with me on 80 to 90% of political issues are falling for it hook, line, and fucking sinker. These people have disdain for you. They mock you behind your back. They scam you, whether you know it or not. They're there to destroy you, to destabilize our society even further. They're no different than the leftists that go into the schools and teach the kids that there's 87 different fucking genders. They're just destabilizing society from the right. We got a couple videos of these guys for those of you that still want to support these fucking scumbags. Again, I got a whole segment on YouTube that's still up where we talk about how it's called It's Time for Conservatives to Distance Themselves from Andrew Tate. We played it a couple years ago. I like to give you a refresher every now and then. And I'm not shitting on people that have been sucked into this spider web of nonsense and lies, by the way. I'm not. I'm really not. I want the best for you. I want you to come out of it. But I am going to give you some tough love. Play this video, him and his brother talking about how they make their money from a couple years ago. Go ahead.
And I gave Andrew the space to think. So he realized that he had so many beautiful girlfriends. I think he got one of them a job on a babe station channel.
Yeah.
And she came home one day blabbering some nonsense that Andrew was half listening to about, yeah, some of these girls make money on webcam. Now, to me and Andrew, we assumed who pays for webcams? I mean, porn is free. Who pays for webcams? That's got to be a dying industry because me and Andrew aren't fucking cucks and we don't go on webcam and we don't pay women for their time and attention. So we never even considered it as a viable financial option. Andrew sat down. He worked it all out. Not just how to put her on webcam, how to maximize the amount of money this one girl was making. And I came home from work one day, and what words did you say?
I said, something amazing has happened.
Something amazing has happened. And I said, yeah, what? He goes, I've made £350 today. So I was like, I've made 250. What the fuck's going on here? How did you make £350? And he shows me this number on the screen next to one of his girls' videos broadcasting. Goes, that's money that's going to come to my bank account. Now, I'd never seen money on a screen unless it was like an online casino and shit. So I was like, so what? You have to like gamble it, or does it? And it was like, no, that's real earned money on its way to my bank account. So rather than me going out slaving all day, I had a few chicks of my own. I put one on cam in my apartment. Then we had 4 girls on cam in 2 bedrooms, one after the other. I slept in the hall. I was that money hungry. And from there, we upgraded to a 4-bedroom, 5-bedroom penthouse over in Hitchin, Hertfordshire. Then we left the fucking UK because of shit. In Romania, you have faster internet, more girls, prettier girls, and we just grew into an empire. We were making $2 million a year, $2.5 million a year from webcam alone.
The shit that they left the UK from is the investigations into what sounds to me like a trafficking operation. We'll let the courts decide. But that's what it sounds like to me. Mia, what does that sound like to you? What?
It's just so ridiculous. I just can't stop thinking about the fact that they admitted they just gave all that information.
They just tell everybody. They just tell. If you're going to commit alleged crimes, don't brag about them on every podcast that will put a microphone in front of your face. Now, there's another alleged wire that was sent to one of the brothers because they're claiming they weren't making this money on OnlyFans and it was all TikTok, right? They were helping people manage TikTok accounts. You can look at the court documents. That's not what the accusations say. Again, these are all alleged. We'll let the courts decide what's true and what's not. I can only base my opinion off the things they've said. Now, they may claim they're jokes, but there's a famous saying in the legal system, I'm going to paraphrase here, is that everything's a joke until it's not. Until it becomes evidence, it can be a joke, but it's when you continuously repeat these things, it doesn't sound like a joke anymore. You know, that's any good comedian knows you don't beat a joke like a dead horse. You tell it once and you're done. Now, we have inside running jokes on here, but they don't involve me confessing to crimes I've committed, if you'll notice. So they allegedly, there's a wire payment that one of them received that just said OF revenue. Now, they've been charged with money laundering. I don't think you can get them on money laundering. I actually think they're innocent on this. Because, as it appears to me, money laundering means you're trying to make the illegitimate funds you've received from an illegal activity appear to be legitimate. You know, they'll use front businesses, they'll wash it through crypto. There's a lot of different things they can do. These guys aren't even trying to do this. They're just admitting to what they're doing and putting it in the memo line on the cashier's checks or wires or whatever. There's one more video at Tate. If you don't think that last one is bad enough, let him spell it out for you. There's a 50 Cent song. It's a one-word song title by the same name here. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you can't pick up context clues from what he says here, let Andrew Tate spell out to you what his job was when he was doing this.
And I think I get this from my job. So when I'll say pimping because it was webcam, but it was essentially what it was. When I was pimping, you'd pick up a girl, but if you get a high value asset, like a girl, because that's what a beautiful woman is. A beautiful woman's a high value asset. It's like having a Ferrari. You walk down the street with a beautiful woman, it's like driving a Lambo. Everyone's staring at you. So if you pick up a high value asset, in the pimp game, you need to learn how to control her and retain her. You need to make her do as you say, and you have to keep her. And you have to keep her regardless, in spite of the fact that you cheat, you're busy, you take all her money, you make her do something she doesn't want to do, and she still has to stay with you. So to me, that's what the game was.
I mean, that sounds like a stand-up guy. Mia, I don't know about that's the kind of guy I want our son to be listening to, taking life advice from, telling you how to control a woman, keep her, mentally manipulate her. And he used the word, not me. Again, these are all allegations of trafficking. But when you refer to yourself as a pimp and then proceed to go into detail about the best ways to mentally manipulate and control women who are working under you, it gets very, very difficult to stand in front of a judge and go, hey, the human trafficking you've accused me of, I didn't do it.
You idiots!
I mean, this isn't anything new. There's rappers that will admit to crimes in their music, and until they become the subject of a criminal or drug trafficking or whatever, and until they become the subject of a criminal investigation, they're simply lyrics. But like I said, everything's satire until it's evidence. And when they say, hey, whatever this rapper is, we think this guy we have a reason to believe this guy's running a drug trafficking ring, and then they go back and listen to his music, and he talks all about selling crack, well, they're going to use that against him, especially if it was crack that they think he was selling. This isn't rocket science. And that's the other thing. If you guys are one of these guys that are, because they do this thing, this big push, because we all know about like the atrocities Pornhub's committed and all that stuff with human traffic victims and stuff like that. A lot of these webcam sites, because they're quote unquote independent creators, they're advertised as like an ethical alternative to porn, because you're not feeding into a system. You're not feeding these big companies that are abusing these women and churning them out. If you're using these webcam sites as a quote unquote ethical alternative, there is a decent chance, not all the time, but there's a flip a coin chance that the girl you're watching that you believe is more ethical because she's quote unquote operating on her own, that she's being trafficked. And whether it's a large scale operation or her boyfriend or husband or family member, God forbid, that's pimping her out online, there's a decent chance. Trafficking's not just you go have sex with this guy at this hotel and bring me the money or I'll smack you around. That is part of it, but that's not even a quarter of what human trafficking is what people don't realize. There's a whole bunch of methods to do it. And I know there's a little bit of gray area because there's the online thing and whatnot, but I don't know, man. If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. Here's the other thing you have to consider about the Tate brothers. When they go on here and they talk about manipulating women and rounding them up, and again, go watch my video where it's like 35, 40 minutes. We play the whole thing, all the things these guys have admitted to doing allegedly on camera. When they call themselves pimps and they talk about how to mentally control women and manipulate them and just give yourself this unlimited power over them, these are the things they publicly admit to doing. Their words, not mine. And they can say it's a joke. That's up to the judge to decide. But these are the things that they've done that they publicly admit to doing. Things that disgust the average listener, right? Let me ask you guys a question. If this is what they publicly admit to doing, what on earth are they doing in private? How many people do you know that are willing to publicly admit, not just publicly admit, but go on podcasts repeatedly in front of millions of viewers and listeners and publicly admit to the worst thing that they've ever done? None of us would ever come on the air, whether it was in front of 12 people or 12 million people, and publicly admit to the worst thing we've ever done. But we're going to make Mia do it right now. No, I'm kidding. So if we're going to go out on a limb and say it's in human nature to not publicly admit to the worst thing you've ever done, especially if that worst thing may or may not carry legal consequences for you, we can probably assume, and I'm just saying assume, I don't know anything for sure, I don't have any evidence, but a reasonable person could conclude that they've probably done worse than what they're telling you. And if these are the people that you want to put your name by and you want to support with your time and maybe even, God forbid, your fucking money, then so be it. I can't help you not be retarded. I'm not I'm a mental health professional. I can't make you stop being a fucking fool. A fool and his money are easily
I'm kind of retarded.
You're not kinda. You're full blown helmet wearing, back of the short bus, drooling in your cereal bowl retarded. If you're still following these guys in May of 2025, June of 2025, whatever fucking month it is when this airs. That's all I got. That's all I got. Remember, like I said, they publicly mock, and in private, the people that they were scamming, or their quote-unquote customers, as they put it. Got to be fair. I don't want to get sued. I know they're suing everyone that criticizes them. They publicly mock the people, and privately, the people that are giving them money, these men that were falling for these webcam girls. They talk about how stupid and gullible and pathetic they were. What do you think they're saying about you guys that are giving them money to learn how to do whatever, drop shipping, Hustlers University, whatever? I love these guys that sell these courses. I really do. You know that Gary, you ever heard of Gary Vaynerchuk? He's that guy with wears a beanie and he's got the squeaky voice. He's on there. He's like, the next 10 years of your fucking life are the best 10 years fucking ever. And he like yells at people to hustle. I used to think he was pretty cool. I'm like, hey, he's just some inspiring shit. Then I see a video of him. He's like, when I inherited my parents' winery, I'm like, okay, well, you've just lost all credibility. How about, you're going to sit here and tell me to hustle and grind and do all this stuff, and you're going to tell me that you inherited your parents' winery. Oh, yeah, it turns out we could all be pretty successful and have plenty of fuck around time and money if our parents owned a winery. Now, my mom bought a winery. It just wasn't one we made any money off of. And when I say she bought a winery, I mean, she just spent so much money on boxed wine that she basically bought a winery. She paid the company's mortgage 4 or 5 times over, is the point I'm making. Okay, we got time for one more. We're going to skip. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to click the link in the description to get the full episode on Rumble. If you prefer to listen along, you could actually get us on Spotify, Spreaker, and iHeartRadio. You can also go to www.outlawstreamers.com to learn more about not just my show, but tons of other great shows and all the exciting projects they have coming up. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the Chinese Spy app that is TikTok, and be sure to like and subscribe to this YouTube channel. Thanks, and we'll see you every Saturday for brand new episodes of That's Based. Peace.